Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to another brilliant game from the Bullet Brawl chess event in 2024 that you can follow now on chess.com. In this Bullet Brawl event we have all of the engines playing against each other in beautiful 1+1 bullet chess, so 1 minute on the clock plus 1 second increment per move. And yesterday what was very interesting, we have introduced a new engine, a beautiful engine that was in the lead for a long time in this event. It was the Plentychess. Plentychess was really great. It was also in one moment 2 points ahead of Stockfish 17 and also the Torch engine. Now things have turned around. Now Plentychess is on the third place, which I would say again is really a huge result. And I wanted to also congratulate the developer of the Plentychess engine because sometimes we maybe overhype the Stockfish engine, overhype of course Lila C0. We want to of course also introduce here also new developers, and I think the Plentychess project is really an interesting one. So that's why I've sorted out now another beautiful game, and this game is even much better than yesterday's game. Here I would dare to say you see now the Plentychess Immortal, in which Plentychess will sacrifice everything. It's a Stockfish lookalike game, really with incredible tactics that are all over the board. So put your seatbelts on and enjoy, I would say, in Stockfish brother here, Plentychess with an Immortal game against Minic in a beautiful Benoni defense. So let's see now what happened with the white pieces here. Plentychess opened with move d4, g6 by Minic. We have c4, bishop to g7, knight to c3, and now after a couple more moves we have the common and standard transposition into the Benoni structure here with the moves d6, c5, and this with this fianchetto bishop here by black. After knight to a6, here Plentychess continues with a4. Once of course you have a great grip around the square b5, because in some lines black is trying of course knight to c7, a6, maybe bishop to d7, b5, rook to b8. So the main concept is somehow to break and enter here on the queen side with the support of the dark square bishop. It could be very interesting then for black. e5 by here Minic, locking out now the structure here in the center of the board. And now you see the pawn structure gets really static in the center of the board. And now when that happens, when the pawn structure is immobile in the center of the board, we already evaluate our bishop strength. And we have to mention white's bishop is of course white's light square bishop is bad because it's blocked by its own pawn. This bishop is perfectly fine because it still has activity. From black's perspective, this bishop is bad now because it's also blocked by its own pawn, but this bishop is very active. So white would try to somehow give up its own light square bishop here for black's light square bishop in order to keep somehow maybe a better game. So here knight to f3 by Plentychess. We have bishop to g4, bishop to e2, queen to d7 here by Minic, and now a very interesting line, knight to g5. As I said, white is hoping to get rid of this bad piece, the bishop on e2. Okay, it has a decent activity, but it's, as I said, neutralized by its own pawn structure. So very good move here, I would say, by Plentychess. Bishop to e2, queen to e2, knight to e7, and now f3, h6, knight to h3. Very good square actually for the knight. It seems strange that you place your knight on the edge of the board, but from this square here white has a great control of the center, and especially a great control of the e4 square, because now black is obviously trying the common, I would say, King's Indian move. It's not a King's Indian anymore, but in these types of structures, in this King's Indianish structures, black is trying to push the pawn on f5 and put more pressure on this side of the board. So here immediately f5 you see by Minic. Here Plentychess continues with knight to f2, and now knight to b4, a5, again neutralizing any threats here by black on the queen side, and now castling here by Minic. We have now queen to d1, f takes e4, and now knight from f to e4. Beautiful maneuver by the knight. You see it was all over the place, but now it's well placed, it's cemented here in the center of the board, and it's of course supported also by this other knight. And also what we have to mention, there is always a tactical threat in black's camp. You should not allow this pawn on d6 to be taken. If the pawn on d6 is taken, then of course the whole structure in the center of the board is collapsing. We have now knight to f5, going now for Plentychess weakness here, we have to say it. Also, white has a strategic disadvantage, real weak square on d4, causing, and now rook from a to b8 again, trying this breakthrough idea with the move b5. We have now bishop to d2, b5, a takes b6 en passant, and now the issue for black is that you cannot actually take with the pawn. If you play now a takes b6, you would love to do that, then you would maybe somehow again try to put more pressure with the move b5, but then knight to b5 is going to happen, and there's simply no good strategic plan, I would say, again anymore for black. The whole concept with knight to d4 is not working because your weak pawn on d6 is hanging. So that's why here a takes b6 wouldn't be hereby a good opportunity for black. So that's why rook takes b6 here by Minic, and now Plentychess continues with the beautiful plan rook to a5. He's also trying maybe to play rook to b5, knight to b5, again hoping to get an activity here on this side of the board. Now we have a6, Minic prevents any hops of the knight here, and now rook to a3. Plentychess retreats, rook to b8, knight to e2, queen to c7, and now rook to e1. Putting more here, nice setup against this e4 square. This square has to be really firm. Black's idea is, of course, somehow black is hoping to somehow break and enter also with the move e4, and then liberating finally the diagonal for the dark square bishop. We have now the move a5, queen to b1, targeting indirectly so far the weak square on g6 here, the weak pawn that could be vulnerable if something clears, of course, on the light square diagonal. We have now queen to a7. Minic does the same, does at least some kind of an threat. It's not immediately there, but if something clears, if something opens, then the king on g1 could be endangered. We have now king to h1. That's why Minic steps back from this diagonal and is of course trying to put more pressure, as we mentioned here, around the square g6. Queen to a6, queen to c1, and now g5, knight to g3, knight to d4. We have rook to d1, rook to b6, and now, as I said in the beginning, put your seatbelts on and look what here Plentychess is doing in this crazy position. Here, first of all, bishop to g5. And okay, you can say now, I would play myself this move. Why is this move so spectacular? Because the follow-up here by white is so incredible, is so crazy. Yeah, after h takes g5, queen to g5, here we have queen to a7, pretty of course a good move, I would say, here by black's defensive move, because now the knights are coming into the game here. Of course, Plentychess continues with knight to h5. We have now rook to f5, attacking now the queen. Queen drops back, and I would here really would really love to mention here, everything is pretty much forced here for black. Black cannot deviate from any of these lines that black is playing already. Now look at this. After rook to h4, we have now knight to c2 here by Minic, and now Plentychess plays such an immortal move here. Plentychess played the amazing rook takes a5. Really wild stuff. Already sacrificed the piece, now sacrificing the rook just in order to deflect the queen from the defense of the bishop here on g7. And what should you do? Even if you try here something like queen to c7, the issue is this wasn't playing the game. In the game, queen takes a5, so here Minic accepted the challenge. But let's see a different option. If you don't react, if you play something like queen to c7, then knight takes g7 is going to happen. You play king to g7, rook to a8 is now coming into the game. You're trying maybe to trade off further pieces, but now this one is coming, knight to g5. And whatever you do, for instance, you try rook to a8, then queen to h7 is winning the game, is winning the queen here on the 7th rank. That's the issue, because the queen is lined up on the 7th rank. Here after knight to g5, as we mentioned, black could take maybe in this line, but black could also, of course, pick up the knight on g5. Then the queen is coming into the game. Then again, we go here with the queen very actively. And now after a couple more moves, the f4 move is, I think, something that bothers now black. Although black has a decent compensation, this 2 knights against 1 rook, but when the move f4 happens, it's game over. E takes f4, then rook to f1 is opening up now this file, and I think after a couple more moves, the game could be over. Even if you try e4 here, then you see we can push this pawn further, then also threaten something, also get, of course, some checks, and I think, again, a very messy game here for black. So after rook takes a5, we have seen queen to c7, maybe a slightly better option for black to somehow survive. but here Minic took queen takes a5, and now a beautiful queen to d8. We have now rook to f8, queen to d7, again threatening the checkmate here on g7. We have now knight to f5. Everything is pretty much forced here, because even if you try rook to f7 here, this is actually not working because of this beautiful line. Knight to f6. This wasn't played, but really look at this. You cannot do anything. You cannot defend this anymore, because after knight to f6, maybe you try bishop to f6, but then this one is coming, the queen is coming into the game, you're trying to cover, then knight to f6, look at this, king to g7, everything's pretty much forced. You're trying to do something like this, then we pick up this one, you try king to h5, now we have queen to f6. The threat is the move g4 here, to sacrifice to deliver checkmate here with the move g4. You have to try something like, I don't know, rook to b7, g4, or maybe even, I don't know, knight to f3. A knight takes f3 is just prolonging the game, but again, I would say here, game over for black. Really amazing stuff. So after move queen to d7, we saw that also rook to f7 is not working here because of this spectacular move. This move knight from e to f6, really crazy stuff. So here after queen to d7, that's why knight to f5 was played by Minic, but now Plentychess continues with g4, queen to a8. You see, finally Minic is trying to get new defenders into the game, but now g takes f5 wins, and now at least one piece back here for white. We have now rook to b7, queen to e6 check, king to h8, and now f6. So here Minic calculated everything in a great way. Look at this now. The pawn that was created because black had to give up the knight for pawn is rolling now. It becomes now a spectacular piece in the attack by white. After move f6, bishop to h6, now f7. Look at this. Now here Plentychess is opening up now the 6th rank and is attacking the bishop. So everything is really forced here. Black doesn't have better moves. We have now rook from b to f7, picking up now the pawn, and now here Plentychess doesn't even take the bishop on h6, because then of course black could maybe try to defend. But look at this, knight to d6 keeps the attack here against the black's rook. Rook to h7. Finally here Minic is defending now this bishop, but now a beautiful queen to e5, bishop to g7. We have now knight takes g7, rook takes g7, and now rook to g1. You're getting further pinned. Look how beautiful this tactical sequence is here by Plentychess. You have to now bring a new defender into the game, but now knight to e8, putting more pressure against this loose rook here on g7. What should you do? Even if you try rook to g8, again, this wasn't playing the game, then you get this one, queen to h5, you're trying to cover. Now I think we can even trade it off. Look at this, you're trying d6, and now when the king comes closer, when the king is trying to get out of this mess, then you trade off everything here, and the pawn is rolling. Suddenly the d pawn is liberated, and again it would be game over here for black. Crazy tactics. So after knight to e8, that's why rook takes e8, we have queen takes e8, we have king to h7, queen to e4 check. Look at this, now the knight is hanging. We have now queen takes c2, and now Plentychess got all of the pieces back that it sacrificed in the beginning just in order to reach this beautiful endgame. And obviously now this is completely winning here for white. Rook takes g1, king to g1, now queen to e4. Here Plentychess allowed even queen to b2, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, this king is perfectly fine. You cannot even deliver some checks because we'll cover, and then black is forced, of course, to trade off the queens. And again, a favorable endgame, of course, for white. King to g2, queen to c1. Plentychess is pushing now the pawn further, is allowing here this pawn to be taken just in order to play again on a simple tactic, queen to d5, simplifying the game and going into the fully endgame stage. After a couple more moves here, Plentychess promoted to new queen, and here after a couple more moves, it was also a beautiful checkmate on g5. So, what to say, great spectacular tactical sequence. I'm just going to play this whole sequence from the beginning. So it starts with bishop to g5 here from move 29. Look at this. I just want to fast forward this because it's so epic. Look at this. It's such a beautiful attacking harmony. Now the queen is coming. Now g4 taking. Now the pawn is rolling. Look at this. The pawn on f6. Really crazy stuff. You have to now cover. Knight takes d6, creating here a passer. Amazing stuff. And now look at this. After a couple more moves here, Plentychess simplified the game enough and got finally its piece back, and all of the sequence now actually lasted for 20 moves. So I would say now the tactical sequence is over. 20 moves ahead. Beautiful calculation here by Plentychess. Immortal game here in this Benoni structures, in my opinion, really one of the best chess games from this event for sure. So what to say? I hope that you enjoyed this game. This will maybe be our last video about Plentychess because we will follow again the leader, as I usually do in this top event. But I think the developers of the Plentychess engine deserve all of our respect, and that's also, as I mentioned, my goal here to somehow also promote maybe this AI chess world, to promote these developers, because they're doing a great job. I think even if you use your Plentychess engine here in order to analyze your games at home, it will be perfectly fine, because no human can play like this. Stockfish is still the beast. Stockfish is, of course, still the monster. But look at this. This is again really spectacular chess by Plentychess. So okay, if you want to see some other sharp, brutal tactical games like this, check out our Come to Chess Games Play by Computers. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.